Hello my friends, it's Gabriel with The Last Huntsman Outdoors here again. I got brother Kenny. This is his blade here. What he has here is the full tang Svord made Von Tempsky Tomahawk. So we're going to definitely try this hawk out. Looks really cool, and he has a custom baldric kind of leather setup that's made by Spirit of the Bearer. All right, I got the Von Tempsky hawk here. Just going to do some chopping here with it. It's going to be some light chopping, and we'll move on to something a little heavier.
Hey, Daddy, look at this.
So this thing is thicker than a 1/4 inch. I think it's 5/16. It might even be thicker.
Yeah, it said 0.27. A little thicker than a 1/4.
Yeah, but it definitely hits with some authority.
And actually, they do nothing but convex grinds, and that they did pretty well on that one.
All right, I'm gonna do a little bit more chopping here. This is gonna be a little heavier piece, about 2.5 inch diameter log here. All right, we're also going to try the spike here and see if I could split some with the spike. If I could actually hit it. So that spike is probably the nastiest spike I've ever seen on a tomahawk. And I don't really care for spikes on a tomahawk, but this one is
Yeah, I have
pretty epic
with spikes on it and that.
So, you know, you don't necessarily need the baton if you just have a Von Tempsky hawk with a big ass spike on it. All right, so we'll talk about the Von Tempsky hawk here. So this is just a slab of New Zealand made 8670. So if you guys ever looked at anything made by Svord, there's nothing pretty about these things at all. It's like if the orcs of Mordor opened up a knife company, that's kind of like what you're getting, but they're kind of like badass in their own way.
Oh, I get a very like old rustic.
Rustic,
like,
yeah, old world
vibe.
kind of rustic feel to them. So yeah, it's just a slab of 8670. You can still see the heat treat marks on it. Has some solid wood handle scales.
Winchwood.
Which wood?
Winchwood.
Winchwood. I'm not familiar with that wood, but my twin brother wrapped some goon tape on it just to kind of give it a little bit more traction. Now I will say, just from the limited use I've had with it already, will say the handle just feels a little big and a little square for my hands. And it's not even so much that it's square, but I think just that combination is just a little awkward. I feel like if they just radiused these edges a little bit and slimmed down these scales just a little bit more, this would feel a lot more comfortable in my hand. But I will say too, somebody with like epic large hands would probably appreciate the handle a lot more.
Maybe
too.
even some texturing on it more than anything.
Yeah, actually, we'll do a little bit of a comparison here too. All right, so here's the Svord Von Tempsky Hawk. As I said, it's 8670. It's just a solid slab of 8670 with some wood scales on there. I'm going to compare it. Here's my tomahawk full tank Tomahawk. The Helm Forge. This one's an 80 CRV2, made in United States. It has a little bit longer micarta scales on it with these kind of ribs kind of cut into it. So if I was going to change anything with this, because this hits with a lot of authority. We were just kind of chopping these side by side, and I will say that hits with a little bit more authority, but this is a lot more efficient, and I think it's a lot more comfortable to use. But if they just, I do kind of like the wood. I think it would have been nice if Svord made the wood handles just a little bit longer, maybe more about 2/3 of the way up or 3/4 of the way up, and did some kind of grooves or ribs or whatever you want to call these in that wood. I think it would have been like damn near perfect. All right, I got my twin brother out here. This is his hawk. It's the Svord Von Tempsky. He's gonna do just kind of a little bit of combatives with it. So just kind of, now just me kind of handling it and using it some, it does feel on the heavy side, but it's like,
Ooh, that spike.
yeah, the spike is, I'm actually equally impressed with the spike as I am like the rest of the Tomahawk, in all honesty.
Yeah, I've
So
never used
can you do like a swing and like a reverse strike with it too? Yeah, so like that is, I personally like a hammer pull on like my Tomahawks because I find they're more useful out in the woods. But that is something, if you were going to use it for like combatives, the spike and stuff on there is pretty efficient.
Well, just kind of show, that's probably the most nastiest spike I've ever seen on a hawk.
We might have to like try it on some like bricks and or something a little more solid too. All right, got brother Kenny here too. He's gonna just be kind of trying to do some slicing with the
Yeah, I mean,
Tomahawk. It has a very like acute, well, show me kind of the edge at like a,
I mean, it's a thick edge.
yeah, it's a definitely a very
I mean,
heavy
it's
duty.
still hair shaving sharp.
Yeah, it's a very full, like, convex type of grind edge for sure, which does help it with the chopping. Like I said, it hits with a lot of authority, and it wants to bite and dig in. I do think if they'd extended these handles, like I actually, you know, I mentioned earlier that it'd be cool if the handle came up just like there. I actually think now, the more I think about it, it'd be cool if the handle like came all the way up to this.
Kind of like my Kanji T-Hawk.
Yeah, like if the handle scales came like just all the way the full length of that, like that would be really cool if they did that. I mean, you can always paracord wrap that up too.
Well, what I'm thinking I'm gonna do is texture the grip, but then just goon tape wrap this part.
Yeah, or even paracord it and then goon tape it maybe.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Hey, let's see that Michael Spanger's baldric sling a little more. So he wanted a baldric sling for this and a leather sheath. It comes with a leather sheath, didn't it?
Yeah, it came with like just a little blade cover.
Yeah,
mask.
and it wasn't like real impressive, but this baldric sling and sheath here really just kind of matches this
I actually
Tomahawk.
got two different ones for it, but
Now, is that a sharp 90-degree spine there?
I think so. It feels like it.
Let me try something real quick.
Probably be easier out of the sheath, but
Yeah, it would be. But yeah, it is a sharp edge on there, so you can use it to strike a ferro rod. All right, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up the review of the Svord Von Tempsky Hawk here. So my thoughts on it is it's a really cool. It just kind of has a neat aesthetic to it. I wish there was just like a couple things that was a little bit more refined to it. And I guess that's part of the thing that's cool with these is you can always get one of these and just modify it yourself. Like they even got the holes drilled into it. And so I personally think you could probably custom make some like different handle scales or modify the handle scales that's on here. Like I think something like that would be really cool. So I think this thing is pretty neat. I just, in my personal opinion, I'd like to see it refined a little bit more. What's your thoughts on it?
Okay, ultimate question right here. Would Mel Gibson carry this to kill redcoats with?
I think that's a definite yeah.
Yeah, I think he would.
Yeah, it definitely has like some Patriot like vibes to it. Now, granted, full tang tomahawks aren't really like a thing back then, but
yes, it has that aesthetics to it though.
yeah, it does. It does look like something that could be carried in like a old.
You can see the forging marks on it right there.
Well, I think that's more of like a heat treat mark, and then
Yeah, the heat treat. I mean,
yeah, but it does have a really neat aesthetic to it. Kind of like I said, I personally would like to see it refined a little more. But as always, be prepared both physically and spiritually. God bless, and carry on.